So hello, well hello. So today, well, I'd like to have a look at this, which is a very old document, which, as you can see, it has JR on it, and some crumbs as well. See, it's very important to have crumbs on things like that. But basically, that would have belonged to my grandfather, whose name was John Robert Robson. It may come a shock to you, but my surname isn't actually Timber. Well, I have had Wood in the past when I was young, but that's Jim Timber there. That's Jim Timber. That's Jimmy Timber. I'm somebody else. I'm different, you see. And so this was my dad's thing, where he was from the north, but he was dragged down south. And they lived in Norwood Green in Southall, Middlesex, with sort of Minturn Avenue. Well, you can see it yourself, can't you? So the address is there, isn't it? But yeah, my dad saw quite a lot in his life. That's a fact. A decent man, I would call him. A decent fellow, an honest man. Very intelligent, far more intelligent than me. I think this is his first mortgage, actually. And they lived in a little bungalow that they bought, my mum and him, together in Widecroft Road in Ivor Heath, which is very pretty, actually. It's right near the Pinewood Film Studios, where my first wife used to work, and we often used to go by the bungalow until the dreadful day it was demolished. They just knocked it down. Like everything it's moving on, isn't it? But this was that when they lived there. Obviously in the 1950s. That's 1956, isn't it? So that would be my dad's mortgage payments. Well, you can see for yourself, £2.10 a tit and a fiver for your ass. I'm joking, obviously, but you know, I think that they pretty much paid it off in the end. My dad worked like a Trojan, you know. Yeah, okay, he was a train spotter, which some people might laugh at, but he used to spot trains, and he used to love buses as well. And you can see that he's marked where he's spotted certain trolley buses or different classes of different things, you know, and that's what kids did in the old days. Now all they do is just stare into a bloody mobile phone, isn't it? And you think, what a waste of a life. But in those days, my old dad would travel great distances, you know, often a whole mile. I'm joking, but no, he would head out, you know, and he would mark down, as you can see, when he spotted a train or so, he would do that. So scroll forward to when he was a bit older. That's my dad there, rowing, because he was an oarsman. He went to the London School of Economics, which is the LSE, in the 50s, obviously, 1954. So he was in the first, what's that, 5, 6, 7, 8, he was in the first 8, is it? Yeah, it must be the first 8, isn't it? And so he said, he's written here, that's his writing, they started 76 and finished 59, so that's pretty good, head of the river. We used to row down near where I used to live, near Putney, actually. You know, they'd have this little fellow at the back going, stroke, and the rest of them had to do all the hard work. Yeah, that's all good. But what's interesting is these pictures. My dad drew them when he was in Form 3R. I've no doubt that was in one of his very early schools. That's in the 17th of January, February, March 1943. So this is what was going through my dad's head in March 1943. As you can see, there's a searchlight here, and there's bombs dropping. There's planes, there's an obvious man wearing a tin hat, there's barbed wire. It must have been a very interesting time to live as a kid during the Second World War. I think he's quite talented, actually. I mean, obviously it's a child that's nativity play, that one's the title. He's done some nice patterns here. I like them. My first wife was well, she started as a surface pattern designer. And she ended up working for the film industry as a production, you know, producer for that's clever, isn't it? for film sets and things, you know, and that's what she did. Form 1R, so he's obviously quite young there. It's amazing what the kids got up to back in the day, as it were. What's going on here? It looks like the sort of whole thing. Look, that's me lying in bed. I don't know quite what's going on here, but it's my dad's. Oh, in a hospital. Oh, crikey. Oh, shite. That's probably when my dad was ill or something. Those are the things he saw. Now I know what this is. That's his dog, because he had a dog just like that. Just like that. Ha ha ha. And as Tommy Cooper would have said, and I don't know why that lady's wearing a cat's face, but that I presume is his mum. In front of the oven, but that's definitely his dog. So I've seen pictures of it. I think it was called Powra. It was named after the Prisoner of War Relief Association or something like that. Well, yeah, there you go. Isn't it? So that looks like Mum. That very much looks like my gran, actually. Although she was obviously not transparent and drawn in pencil, but but that's probably her hanging up the washing. And yeah, I don't think she was informing the Germans where to bomb or anything. Because I know that they used to do that in the old days, didn't they? They hung up washing to oh, whatever. Look, Google it. But yeah, this is a good one. That'll be the bus my dad used to go on to get to. Wherever he was going. Nobody had a car in my family. That's an ominous shadow, isn't it? Look at that. Oh God, hung like a donkey. But no, this is obviously another of my dad's observations from his time. That looks like a huge sort of water fountain or something. Bless him. I'm not knocking it because I think it's wonderful that I've got these. You know, it's awesome. Just look at the dates. Look at the date. It's 1943 again. It's my dad's work. This is interesting. It's like Dracul, isn't it? That's like Dracul. That is. Quite knows what it is. I don't know. Black. What does it say there? You can read it for yourselves, maybe. I don't know. I can't even read that. My old eyes have gone dead in it. But they're all wings for some reason. They're all on wings, so they're flapping about the place like bats in it. So that's all good. But this is nice. I like this one. This is 1944. Obviously, at this point, my old dad's getting a bit more talented, as it were. It's a shame he didn't finish that. It's like a Lupin, isn't it? Stand and in that old Monty Python sketch. You stand and deliver your lupins, your things, you know. And then nobody wants the lupins, but he's convinced that they do. This is good. That looks like a cow or something, or a horse. A is Alan. My dad was called Alan. He was Alan Peel Robson. The peel comes from not orange peel. That was a bloody coffin, isn't it? Sadly, where my old dad is now, well, he's not even there. He's been cremated, so he's dust. But Peel was the middle name my dad had because it was his mother's maiden name. They used to do that in the old days. I like this. This is bloody close to Mondrian, isn't it? So much going on in this one. Very talented. He was obviously a far more talented character than I was, because you know, in those days, I'd just be sort of drawing with my closed fist, you know, sort of scratching like a circle, like a caveman, innit? But and I like that as well. That's lovely. That's really, really, I think, very talented. Holly and the Ivy sort of thing. And this is funny because my dad used to drag me about on a sledge when I was a kid, and they were rolling snowballs like that in the Chilterns where he used to take me. Well, I was from Watford. My dad was, as I say, originally from Scotland, but he lived most of his life in Geordie land, and then, well, no, he didn't. In actual fact, he was a Geordie for a little bit, and he was moved south by his father, who used to work for a company called Poulton and Knoll, and they eventually became bachelors. They the bachelors' peas, you know, all those tinned products that everyone loves to hate, sort of thing. But yeah, these are good. I like them. These are all different. Egypt. A land of mystery. It certainly is very well observed, and more of his A, B, C, D, E, F, G type things, which There you go. Anyway, hope you found this of some interest. Yeah, I loved my dad very much. He was a good man. I didn't get on with him that well when I was a teenager, I must say. It was, like as I said before, it was like a red rag. I was like a red rag to his bull. But as I got older, now we got on really smart, and I miss him so much. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. All the very best. Cheers.